Greetings. This is going to be an interesting episode. I'm going to talk about some of my boyhood crushes. And I'm going to use mainly 3 TV characters to kind of guide the conversation. And these were crushes that I had pre-deconditioning or pre-coming out. So at the time, I wouldn't have consciously looked at you and said, I've got a crush on this person or this character. But now looking back, I kind of understand the dynamic of that experience in a different way. Okay, so here goes. I had crushes on these 3 characters that were part of TV shows that were on the WB/CW network during the time period from about 2002 to maybe 2010-ish, off and on. And the characters are Clark Kent in Smallville, which was played by Tom Welling, Jensen Ackles, who played Dean Winchester in Supernatural, and I forgot his name, Chad Michael Murray, who played Lucas Scott in One Tree Hill. So during that time period, which was like toward the end of my college years and into young adulthood, and let me back up and say I was a late bloomer and a late developer. Maybe I still haven't bloomed yet, and I don't count myself as an adult. In fact, maybe quite the opposite. But I remember like always making time to get home and watch those 3 shows, and I was definitely living vicariously through each of those characters in various ways. So, for example, I wanted Tom Welling's physique. I wanted Lucas Scott's sort of literary, brooding, emotional nature. I wanted Jensen Ackles' rebellious, I don't give a f*** kind of quality. And I think we can all kind of relate to one degree or another with the idea of like living vicariously through the characters of the novels we read or the films we watch. There's a little bit different dynamic to these kinds of crushes when you are the thing that you're attracted to. What I mean by that is I'm a guy that's attracted to guys. So looking at guys and feeling an infatuation with them it's just different. I don't know how else to describe it. The dynamic is different from a heterosexual crush. So I not only felt the infatuation for the characters, but there were aspects of those 3 characters that I wanted to be. So I not only wanted it, but I wanted to be it, if that makes sense. And in some ways, I kind of went out and became the thing. So here's where the redeemable quality of this sort of self-absorbed episode lies. And so these are questions that I'm asking. I'm not a psychoanalyst, but I'm kind of aware of some of the dynamics of what this is. And I'm just kind of opening up a dialogue about it. So part of the process of maturation, individuation, if we use more metaphysical language like a soul's journey, is to come into an incarnation and then become aware of what you are, and then look out and have things mirrored back to you, And then you identify desires for what you wish to become. I think I said all of that in a good way. And that desire nature fuels your evolution and growth. So, as a young, closeted, conditioned guy, I looked at those characters and identified qualities that I desired for myself. And then I set out to integrate those qualities. And I think I can say it has been made so. I've kind of done the things. So, and now I'm kind of looking at other characteristics and other attributes of other people. And so there's this continuing journey. I would really love if any of you are watching this who can relate to this dynamic of your experience, for you to reply back, or if your experience is like drastically different from that, I'd like for you to express that too. I'm very curious and very interested about how much of these kinds of observations that I'm making about my own journey are shared by others or not. So there's a little bit of a dynamic to this too that I've meant to express. You know, you've heard the old saying, opposites attract, in terms of like love and romantic matching. And then, of course, in the new thought spiritual communities, there's this concept of the law of attraction, which I think my colleague Terry and I are going to address on a forthcoming episode of 33 North, 96 West. But the idea of the law of attraction is that the essence of like unto itself is drawn. And with regards to the mind and perception and observation and thinking, basically the premise is that you get what you think about, or you become what you think about. And so relating that to the concept of opposites attract, I think many of us can relate to the idea that we get really comfortable with what we know we are or what we know we do well. And we're curious about the things that we don't perceive ourselves to be. So if I'm an introvert, I'm curious about an extrovert. If I have pale skin, maybe I find myself attracted to those with olive-toned skin. I mean, that's just a superficial example, but I relate to this concept. Like, I was always very confident in school, like with academic stuff and music and extracurriculars and creativity. I wasn't as confident physically or athletically. And so that was the aspect of myself, or one aspect of myself, that I looked out to see something mirrored back to me that I wanted to pursue and integrate. So kind of grounding that again in this concept of law of attraction and opposites attract. So if you're thinking about what you aren't, then you're going to tune your perceptual goggles, tune your frequency to realize the thing that you perceive yourself to not be. So that's going to be something that you see in your field or in your environment. And then you respond to that experience in whatever way. Okay, so I don't know if any of you could follow that kind of strange train of thought, but I think there's some interesting things, nuggets of concepts in there, fodder for contemplation, like boyhood crushes / the thing you're wanting to become, the traits and qualities you're wanting to grow into or or integrate into who and what you are, and then realizing that, and then seeing more stuff that you want to realize and grow into. It's this constant evolutionary journey. So let me know if you have any thoughts on that. If you're a psychoanalyst and I've like totally botched the process and you can set me straight, that'd be great too. Thank you for joining me for this, the 34th episode of the LightCast. I'm Jared Treadway, sending you love and light. Until next time. Thank you.